Howdy, folks. Dan from Long and McQuaid here. Really happy to be sitting down with Darkglass artist Jacob Umansky, bass player for the Juno award-winning band Intervals. If you haven't heard the band is Canadian. Jacob is not, but we're using a Canadian bass here, Dingwall. But if you haven't heard the album, their most recent album is Memory Palace. Please go check it out. It won a Juno. Jacob, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Dude, thank
today.
you for having me, man.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, we're excited to have you here. So for folks that might not know you, can you tell us a little bit about your background as a musician?
Yeah, so as you said, I play for the Canadian progressive metal band Intervals. I started playing, I think when I was around 8 years old, and just kind of got into the progressive stuff early on. Like my dad introduced me to like Yes and Tool and Rush and coincidentally all those bands just have unbelievable bass players, so that as I got older I kind of gravitated to the more like funky stuff like Marcus Miller and so my style is just kind of, you know, a culmination of all those things and a lot of notes. But but yeah, that's kind of my thing. I think the small niche of the metal world we exist in, people know me for like a lot of like the slap and double thumb stuff.
Yes.
But yeah, man.
But you went to school for music. You've got a music education?
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I went to Berkeley, graduated in 2017, and that summer while I was in school, I met the guys in Intervals. My other band opened for them, and after the first show, Aaron, the guitar player, saw me and was like, "Hey, we're gonna be looking for a bass player. I don't know what your deal is, but." And then I got back to school, sent him like an audition thing, and then before I graduated, I got in. So the summer I graduated from college was my first tour with Intervals, and that fall we did like South Africa and Europe, and so it's been amazing.
So what Intervals records are you playing bass on?
So my first one was Circadian, and this last one, Memory Palace.
Okay.
Yeah, I joined in 2017 when The Way Forward came out, and the bass was already done on that when I came into the band. But what's cool is that I had like 3 years to kind of learn all the previous material and play live with the band. So by the time when the time came for me to actually, you know, play on a record, I was kind of like, you know, we were like a well-oiled machine at that time.
Yeah.
And so it might have, I don't know, if I came in and did the record, it would have been fine, but it was really cool to kind of get to know the guys and develop our own kind of thing before I, you know, made my imprint on the band, like in terms of playing on a record. And I think with Circadian and Memory Palace, I think the reason why those are so special is because like it's the first time in a while where the band that you see live is the band that's on the record. So that's a pretty cool thing.
And you guys had developed that chemistry together from being on the road.
Exactly. I know all their bags of tricks, you know. So it's been cool.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So we're going to circle back to more about you at the end of this.
Sure.
But right now we want to talk about some Darkglass gear, mainly the Anagram, which I haven't really had a chance to check out very much because they've been selling fast. We've been having a hard time keeping them in stock at our stores. So what can you tell me about your Darkglass setup and the Anagram and how it incorporates into your setup? Yeah,
absolutely. So I think the Anagram, it's been a long time coming where a company could finally make a multi-effects unit that's dedicated for bass, and like what better company than Darkglass?
Yeah.
But yeah, so the way I'm running this is I have my main signal chain, which is my distortion, you know, my heavy like driven sound, and the way it's rigged up is I have it ran so output 1 can go to front of house. It has like the cabinet right there, and then before that hits the cabinet, we go to an output block, and that goes into the effects return of my amp. That way I'm not running, you know, a cabinet into a cabinet, and you get that kind of like boxy compressed sound. So what you're hearing is that, which altogether. But yeah, that's my main sound. Like I tried to replicate my live tone and the stuff you hear me on records, and it was honestly so easy to do with this thing.
That is such a dirty and nasty tone. I love how it's distorted, but there's enough clean blended in there because you're playing very, very complicated things on this record. But so all that can still come through despite the distortion and
exactly.
overdrive.
So it's a pretty focused drive, I would say, if that's a good way to describe it. But the way I can get that is I'm using this kind of like parallel distortion circuit. So essentially what's going on is I start off with the chorus, which is, that's not off right now, but signals compressed going in. And then the main thing, like where the magic happens, is this split. So what's happening here is you can kind of change the routing. So you can see I have a second entropia here. So if we go to the top one.
Entropia being?
The distortion circuit that I'm using. So with you have tons of different distortion options, and you have like the B7K or B3K, you have the alpha omega. So I'm using
and for those of you that don't know, those are all Darkglass overdrive distortion
Anything
pedals.
Darkglass that you could ever want is in this unit, which is unbelievable. But if you check it out, so you can see on this top row, I have all the low end information kind of sucked out. And what that allows me to do is split the signal so where I have all my low information down here, right? So if you go here, you have my mids, all the mid levels are sucked out, all of the high end information is sucked out. That way you can kind of have control over both.
Okay.
And if I was to turn that off, right? So if I was to turn off this blend, so if I go to merge, turn that off. That's all your high end.
Right.
Not that great.
Yeah.
So go back on. Yeah, all your low end information, but it's super focused, right?
Yeah.
So, and then as far as the other things that are going on, again, it's pretty simple, but I have another luminal, which is the compression.
Okay.
A noise gate, and the compressor is just to kind of clamp everything down.
Right.
Noise gate to clean it up, and then just to put in some final tweaks, I have the 6-band Darkglass graphic EQ, and then that's all being merged. And then we have our output, so that's going to the cabinet, and then we have our IR, which is the Darkglass 212, which is normally the cabinet I use on stage. This is just the bigger version, which I kind of prefer.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's basically the signal chain I'm using to replicate my main tone on Memory Palace, and I'm super stoked on the way it came out.
Yeah, sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
And as far as your stage rig goes, so you've got the anagram, and then it's going into a Darkglass head?
Yeah, so I do the same thing here where I don't have the amp really color the sound at all, so I run it through the back in the effects return. That way I can control everything through the anagram or whatever modeler I'm using, right? In this case, it's the anagram. But yeah, and then the head is just powering the cabinet.
Powering the cab. So that's the beautiful thing about the anagram.
It's like
all your tone is there.
Yeah, everything you're hearing. And again, what you're hearing is the signal without the impulse response, and we have the cabinet acting as that. So
you could be in the tour bus or in the hotel room and practicing with your sound completely.
Absolutely.
Or take it into the studio, you've got your sound dialed in, just XLR straight into a board, and you're dialed in.
Yeah, I tend to do a lot of like lessons and stuff on tour sometimes. Like I'll have, that's something I'll do, and there's a headphone jack, which is super convenient for whether it's practicing or like teaching on the road, and like I can even like give lessons on how to build sounds. It's incredible, man. I remember they showed me the prototype of this a while ago, and I was so excited to finally see it out, and how it's obviously sold out. So it's amazing to see.
And I think the other important thing to mention about the anagram is even where it is right now. This is just where we are now, because of the nature of the unit, they're constantly adding more to it, more pedals, more profiles, more sounds to it. So it's not like you're buying something and it's like, this is just stuck here forever. It's constantly getting updated with newer sounds.
Exactly, like this Entropia distortion circuit. Like I had originally built a sound, again, similar processing where I was using the B7K or B3K to kind of do this thing. But I think it was like a couple months ago, they're like, hey, we're putting this in, which is, the Entropia is essentially like a circuit that I use. It kind of sounds like the plugin that I use in our records. So when they told me they were implementing it into the anagram, I was so stoked. And I'm so happy that it's available while we're making this video, because now you can hear how I actually want to sound. I don't have to like go like work around, but yeah, it sounds crazy. And what I can do with this signal chain, what's awesome about it is, so if we go into scene mode, right? So if you hold down C, One more time. We go into scene mode. So again, this is like my main sound. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to this patch, which is nothing changed, but you can see this entropia turned off. So that's turning off all the high-end information. So now what that gives me is my clean tone.
Okay.
And you get this. So it's all in the same signal chain.
Same signal chain.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
Version with it on, version with it off.
Exactly. So that's my clean tone.
Wow, that's disgusting.
Yeah, it sounds pretty. You can do all the Marcus stuff. And then when you're back here.
Beautiful.
Yeah, man.
Can you take us through any of your other presets and maybe in context with some of the songs from the record?
Absolutely, absolutely. Cool. So the next preset, let's go to, so we have our song called Galaxy Brain.
Oh, this is the one I want to ask you about.
Yeah.
There is a bass break in this song that is absolutely gorgeous and incredibly technically challenging.
Thank you, man. Yeah, so again, so it's based off of the same distortion circuit. So if I'm using my main tone for the song, right, then I have this sine wave for all the synth parts, which I'll show you guys later, but it kind of sounds, it's pretty fun. But what you're talking about is this guy right here. So this is my clean tone, and all I've done here is I've gone into the parametric EQ and I brought up the mids just a bit, because when I'm doing my solo stuff, I kind of, I wanted to go for that kind of like nasally, like bridge pickup-y Jaco sound.
Yeah.
So we're bringing up the mids a little bit more so than I would if I was playing distorted, because I bring them down a little bit more. And then all I'm adding is this room reverb. So with that,
so a little mid boost and a little reverb.
yeah, exactly. Nothing too crazy, but.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Can you play the part?
That was a part.
That was the whole part?
I just played it slow, but yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, at tempo.
Can you give it at tempo and then even slower?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Nice. So we already got the slow version.
Yeah.
But that's what I love about it, because it's very fast, but then when you played it slowly, you can hear how musical.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's all kind of just. It's a lot of quoting, like very just quoting the jazzy stuff. Yeah. And the other thing I'm doing here is this kind of like double note thing that I stole from my buddy Evan Marion, where you can you have that. So you can. Just all Dorian. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Thanks, man.
The very tight interval on that one.
God.
Great. Any other patches from Galaxy Brain?
No, I mean, yeah, we have this one, which is the sine wave that I didn't really go over too much.
Yeah, let's hear that more.
But yeah, yeah, it's pretty funky. And the way it works is, here we go. So it's kind of meant to be, there we go. So what's going on here is I've turned off the entropia. So I have a different distortion going on. So I'm using the duality fuzz just to, I think that's what it is. Yeah, the duality fuzz, just to kind of give me a little bit of sizzle. And then I have the Super Lemon Octaver, and the filter's up pretty high. So it's not even meant to sound like electric bass anymore. It's just supposed to sound like this kind of
subby synth.
Yeah, that kind of a thing. But the way it works is we have this kind of bit crushed kick drum thing going on in the song that I'll play in a bit. But it's kind of meant to blend with that. So it's like.
Yeah. Dirty.
Yeah.
Dirty. That's great.
Yeah, man.
Cool. Well, thanks for taking us through those presets. We're going to cut to a clip of Jacob playing through Galaxy Brain. So here it is. Welcome back. What other presets can you take us through?
So again, we're going back to my original distortion circuit. So right here. And in Mnemonic, we have a couple of little bass heavy sections, like the verse and this little tapping thing that I'll play for you guys in a bit. And all I'm doing there is I'm just bringing in the stereo chorus. So we have this right here. And the only thing I've done is at the end of my chain, I just have a gain here because the chorus kind of brings up the level a little bit. So to even both tones out, I just turn down the gain a little bit, but that sounds like this. So we got,
Wow.
Yeah, it's
deadly.
It's a pretty fun one, yeah.
Deadly. All right, so we're gonna cut to a clip of Jacob playing through Mnemonic. Here it is. Welcome back again. So the new album called Memory Palace,
Yes.
there is a lot of reference to brain things. There's
Yes.
nootropic, there's mnemonic. So what do? You're playing this really technical music. What do you do to keep your brain sharp? Is there anything you particularly do?
Oh man, no, my brain is smooth and dry. No, I don't know. I'm big into fitness. I like going to the gym. It's just kind of something, honestly, just with a lot of the stuff that I do during the day, it's very much like I teach during the day and I do a lot of session work and writing. So it's a lot of sensory overload. So it's more so I'm looking for things to kind of like ground me down.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do a lot of fitness stuff and
Well, that makes sense. I mean, keeping the body in good condition keeps the brain in good condition.
Yeah, exactly. So that's something I do. I'll read like comic books sometimes, which some people can argue the opposite.
Yeah.
but yeah. And then trying to think what I do to keep my brain sharp. A lot of it is just learning new music.
Yeah.
Like I try to just, what we're doing is, the music we play, it's very, it's metal obviously, but we try to incorporate lots of different styles. So it's more so just trying to like dive into things that I wouldn't normally dive into musically, which helps build my vocabulary and, to kind of just, I go down all these different rabbit holes. So yeah.
Do you have any particular pre-show or post-show rituals?
Yeah, I'll do like a couple little, I'll do a couple little warm-ups. Like one thing I always do before a warm-up is before a show is I'll run through some of Classical Thump by Victor Wooten because it's like, that song for the longest time was kind of like my Everest, where it's like, I'll get there eventually. So, and what's cool about it is it has a lot of like these techniques that I use during the show. So rather than just like warming up with a zillion different tunes, I just have this one thing that I'll just run, like, and do all this, all that kind of a thing, all that kind of stuff, and then some etudes. But in terms of like non-musical stuff, I'll warm up with like some stretching. Like I do a lot of like, I have like a pre-existing wrist injury, so I'll do a lot of just like stuff to get my hands.
That's what Frank Bello showed us, that exact same stretch.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And your back is like my shoulders too. Like again, like there's not much you can do to avoid stiff shoulder because we have 9 pounds just hanging on you for 90 minutes at a time.
Yeah.
But I do that and some stretching and then do a shot of Jameson with the boys.
Get loose.
Get loose. Yeah. And that's pretty much it. Just do one of these and we're on stage, man. Yeah, it's very. I miss it now. I haven't toured with those guys in a minute, so I'm getting nostalgic.
Yeah. So Victor Wooten, obviously a big influence on you.
Yes.
And I think I've heard you mention the Dirty Loops bassist.
Yeah,
Henrik Linder.
Yes.
Yes. Do you remember where you were the first time you heard Dirty Loops?
I actually do, yeah. So when I was around, I must have been like 16, I studied with the same bass teacher from when I was 8 years old to when I was 17 years old. So for a really, really
who's
long
that?
time. His name is Mike Frost. I owe a lot to that guy.
Shout out to Mike Frost.
Shout out Mike. But Yeah, so during like the beginning of our lessons, you know, I would sit down in his studio and like he had his monitor there, and I saw he had this black and white video pulled up, and it was like, I think it was their baby cover or something like that. And he was like, hey, check this out. And he showed me this dude with like, you know, like the goth hair and like the snake bites, and I'm like, like I had no idea where this was going.
Yeah.
And he started playing, and it just completely blew me away.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. Just because I hadn't really gotten into slap, but from everything I've seen, it was a lot of like rhythmic stuff, and his approach was that, but to the extreme, but also was very melodic.
Yeah.
And the way he approached like using like open strings for fills and writing lines and making slap like less of like a party trick and more of like a language. It was very, very eye-opening, and I wasn't good enough to even attempt that stuff yet. Yeah. But as I came back to it, you know, a couple of years later, it really heavily influenced what I was doing and what I'm doing now. And I've met him a couple times, and I played something for him, and he's like, man, can you show me that? And I think it was like something like this. Just some exercise that I wrote, and he's like, yo man, can you show me that? And I like got in his face, and I was like, can I tell you something? All I do is take what you do and put distortion on it. But yeah, he's great. You know, we met a couple of times. The guy who makes his basses, Madison, he's also a really nice guy. Every time I'm at NAMM, he always, you know, I'll be like, the booth will be crowded, and then he'll just see me like this, just like watching Henrik or watching someone at the booth. He's like, oh man, come here. And like, I don't know if people remember me. So it was really nice when that happened. But yeah, Henrik's definitely a huge influence of mine.
Yeah, it's amazing. Musicians all over the world, we were all screaming at our monitors the first time we heard Dirty Loops. It's almost hard to believe people could be that good. Yeah. And it was like, can they actually play this stuff,
right?
Or was this just editing? Is this just editing and stitched it together really well? And then you see them live and they pull it all.
Thank God they do the live stuff, man. I'm so happy they're not like an internet band. And I think when I discovered them, I was young enough to be ignorant. I was ignorant enough to be like, oh, like this is cool. Like, but had I been older, I'd be like, oh, this is impossible. I'm never going to attempt this.
Yeah.
So like, I was young enough to be like, yeah, maybe I'll give that a go.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I was in the I'm too old, and I'm glad guys like you are young enough to commit the time to doing this kind of thing. It's amazing.
Yeah, man, he's definitely one of them for sure.
Can we talk about your bass?
Yes, absolutely.
This is a Canadian-made
Dingwall
custom bass.
Yeah, so this is a prototype for my signature model.
You have a signature model?
Yes, so by the time you guys are seeing this video, that bass will be out. So I can say the bass is called the Soul, S-O-L.
Okay.
And it is the first mass-produced Dingwall bass with a Z3 body shape, which I'm really excited about. And so we have an alder body, swamp ash top, Darkglass preamp. And one thing you'll notice about the body is it's the only Dingwall bass that has this volume knob configuration.
Okay.
And the reason for that is when I do a lot of my slap stuff, I'm kind of over here. And when you have that smile configuration with the volume knobs, I was always mashing up against the master volume. So I brought that up to Sheldon and the guys at the shop, and they kind of made this little 3-in-2 configuration for me. And it's so great. And we've also brought in kind of just accentuated some of the curves that were already there. And but yeah, Wenge neck, maple board, alder body, swamp ash top, and
6 string?
6 string. We're doing it 6 and 5.
5 and 6.
Yeah, 5 and 6.
Great.
And yeah, hip shot hardware, and yeah, there's a lot of firsts, you know. And my whole thing was when I first became a Dingwall artist and they made me my first Z, I was so in love with it, but I realized they hadn't made like a ready to play model version of it. So it wasn't as accessible. So when people were interested enough to bring up the signature conversation, I asked Sheldon like, hey, can we make this happen? I realized this has been like the staple of the custom shop, this shape for as long as Dingwall's been a thing. You know, it started off with like the Voodoo model, which was the precursor to this. And then, so I'm so grateful that they chose me to kind of be the first one to have this shape as a ready to play one. Because the only other guy to have a signature bass with the Z shape is Lee Sklar, which is getting in pretty good company.
Yeah.
But
with Adam Nolly as well.
Yeah, he's got the NG, and it's amazing. And the only other thing we really I say only other thing as if it's not like completely different, but we edited the neck shape a little bit, so it's tailored after like a combustion neck, so it has these like thicker shoulders, but we brought down the back so it's more like a Z, so it's kind of like this.
So it's kind of flat.
Exactly.
On the back.
Yeah, so they've done everything.
The neck feels amazing on your bass.
Yeah, I appreciate it, and I'm just so excited for everyone to try it out because it's been in the works for so long, and I'm really proud of it.
Well, we're excited to get your basses in our stores.
I'm excited to see them there.
Yeah, and a 6 too. When did you start playing a 6-string?
I think I was like 18 or 19. I played these basses from a luthier on Long Island, and I had a spot in his builds I was waiting for like a year, and then I saw Henrik, and I'm like, oh, I should probably buy a 6. So my teacher, who also played those basses, who also had a slot, he's like, hey, I have a 6-string bass being built. I'll switch with you if you want. Okay. So yeah, I think I got my first bass when I was either like 18 or 19, which was cool. Like, you know, I've been playing 6 for like 10 years now.
Right.
So
do you have any advice? I'm getting my first 6. I've been mainly a 5-string guy. I'm getting my first 6. Do you have any advice for any other players out there that might be transitioning from a 5? They see you, they want to start playing a 6. Any advice on how to start working with a 6?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I would say is just like, don't overthink it. It's not that much different. You can, and you know, just practice things that you would, like if you were to play like an arpeggio, for example, like, you know, just extend that onto, because it's all the same shape. We're all still tuned in fourths, right? So it's like, you know, stuff like that. Learn etudes, and just, you know, learn your shapes. You know, but again, you're gonna be so familiar with it because again, it's just tuned in fourths. It's just slightly bigger neck, but you know, it's all the same chord shapes. Yeah. And the one thing I would say to be conscious of is just your muting. So you'll see a lot of guys play like this, you know, which having your thumb back here is kind of tricky. Yeah. So one thing I would look into is maybe gravitating towards more of like the floating thumb thing, which instead of playing like this,
right.
So your thumb kind of follows your hand, and it acts as a mute.
So you don't plant your thumb. You keep it moving.
You'll see me plant it sometimes, but when I'm doing big runs like that, no, definitely not.
Yeah.
And it acts as a mute, and it's, you know, you have more access, and I think the biggest thing is just like, especially with not even if you're playing a 6 or just like playing the style of music, to like look for things like your hands, what isn't being utilized, you know, because if I'm playing something, you know, like let's see, like I'm using this palm to kind of mute my low A at certain points. I'm using my middle fingers to mute there. When I need this guy to be used. So, you know, you look for things that like, when you're learning something, like, you know, be mindful of, okay, cool, well, I'm not using my middle finger here so I can move this here, or I'm not using the palm of my hand here so I can kind of mute that. So, and again, like the electric bass, it's like not that old of an instrument. So people are like, we're kind of like figuring new stuff out all the time. So if something seems wrong or you don't see anybody doing a certain thing, like, who cares? Yeah. You know?
Try it out.
Try it out, yeah.
And with 6, I mean, there's a bit of a stereotype out there for sixth string. Some people frown
Never
upon.
heard any. What are you talking about?
Some people frown upon a sixth string bass, but I love what O'Teal says, that for a bass player that's learning, it's a great way to explore harmony. If you're not playing guitar, if you're not playing piano, there's certain things you will hear. It's like I just started practicing on a 6, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, a flat 13 makes sense now. Like I can really hear how this sounds, transitioning from a 13 to a flat 13. So even if it's not something that you're going to take out on your gigs, having a sixth string just to practice on is a great thing. And now you've got a new option for a sixth string that you can buy.
I don't even, like, for me, I don't use the 6 because I play up here all the time. It's mainly a timbre thing, because in metal, like, you want that kind of clanky, very focused, punchy sound. And like, if I play something over here, that'll sound cool, but I also want the option. You know, if I'm playing, I want to have that option, you know what I mean?
There's that smackiness because of the thinness of the string, and you dig in. Like Jacob doesn't play light, he's digging in. But you can get that smack off the thinner string that doesn't sound the same when you were playing in that other register.
Exactly. So I don't, like, you know, people can see and be like, oh, he plays all the notes. It's like, no, I just like the way things sound over here. And I like having options, but I don't know, I might mess around with a 5 occasionally when it comes out, you know?
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Can you tell me, what are you listening to these days? What's currently on your playlist?
Man, I'm listening to, so there's this synthwave band called The Midnight. I'm really into them. It's kind of like, imagine if you took like Stranger Things and just put that into like a band. It just sounds like that. So
is it more on the rock side or funk
it's
side?
like 80s rock kind of stuff. I'm listening to, let's see, what am I listening to? There's this band called Thornhill. They're from Australia. They're like, kind of like a new metalcore band. It's very like Deftonesy. And then, there's this, one of my favorite bands is called Loathe. Okay. They're also, it's kind of like metalcore meets shoegaze. They're kind of, they can do some proggy stuff too, but it's very, very cool. And a lot of Hiatus Coyote. I don't know if you've ever heard of them. I love Hiatus Coyote. Their bass player is unbelievable. And I like how they've gravitated towards like the bass kind of acting as the guitar. So Nay can kind of do her thing. There's them, and who else have I been listening to? A lot of heavy stuff. Like a lot of just like flat out like death metal. And like I listen to prog when like my friends put out records, but or The Contortionist. If you haven't heard of The Contortionist, they're also like all-time one of my favorite bands. Been digging back into them lately.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one last question.
Absolutely.
For you. If you could instill one rule that all bass players have to abide by, what would it be?
Oh man. Song comes first.
Yeah.
Like making your parts complicated and doing all these crazy unison lines, like that's all fun and I do a lot of it, but make sure you're serving the song, make sure you're laying down, make sure you're doing your job as the foundation of the song, which is maybe an obvious thing, but in my line of work, you know, which is like a lot of notes, a lot of time signature changes, a lot of cool opportunities to go do cool things. Make sure you're laying down the foundation before, it should be, that should be you can't not do that.
Yes, before you get into all the fun stuff,
before you reach into the bag of tricks, reach into the pocket first. And then you'll be okay.
Because that's the thing that people overlook when you listen to a person like yourself, or a person like Jaco, or Henrik, or Victor, is the groove is so deep. Like you guys all have the groove together first. And then of course you can embellish on that, but the groove is always there. The time is always there. Yeah. Great. All right. Well, thanks so much for sitting down with us today. Man. Yeah, appreciate it. Please look out for Intervals. Are you guys going on tour again?
Yes, April with Carnival.
In April, okay. Yes. And in Canada?
No, we'll be in the UK and Europe. But we'll be in Canada soon enough. Don't worry. We'll make our homecoming soon. Well, next time you pass through Canada, we'd love to have you do a clinic with us. Dude, please. Somewhere, absolutely. Would love that. Go to Long & McQuaid, check out an Anagram once we have them back in stock. Also, new to us, we're going to be carrying the heads and the cabs. We've just been carrying Darkglass pedals up until now, but we'll have heads and cabs available as well, so you can check those out. Also, the new Dingwall Jacob
Signature Series bass. You can check those out when we start stocking those. That's very exciting to hear.
Thank you.
So thank you all very much for watching. Please like and subscribe to the channel. You can check out the links below for more details on all of these great products. Thank you very much and have a blessed day.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers.